Another additional 6 trillion to Nigeria budget this apps will ruin this country.
Only to meet further recurrent expenditure requirements necessary for the proper operation of the federal government, expenditure which are to be funded by expected revenues accruing to the federal government of Nigeria.
We expected this, Rufai. We had known that this was coming, and now 6.2 trillion naira being asked. Your take on the story?
Okay. 6.2 trillion. So that means the deficit is about 14 trillion from this cycle. Also, there's been lots of conversation. I think it was a budget I was talking about running other budgets also pari passu. So what's the conversation about that? Because the response from the government side was not, solid enough. You have a lot of this budget running. The question is, what's the effect? We just have a very top line of recurrence because the cost of governance itself is very high. And when I saw part of the recurrent, about 3 trillion, I'm asking, is it also part of the money they're going to use to buy his jet for him and his vice president's jets? Hitherto, we have seen the immense waste that goes on in this government. Till today, most of the waste has not been accounted for. Most of a lot of the frivolous spending. So I think it's also best for President Tinubu also to really, tighten his belt too by showing Nigerians that he's really realistic about this talk about tightening his belt. And that's why all the governors are complaining. Look at the PDP governors. He's failed. That's what they're saying. And when people from his own party like Aliu Ndume, which I might not agree with, but I give my full support to this morning, for saying the things he said, that things are not well, and the next they remove him as chief whip. So we've increased the deficit to what expense? How are they going to fund some of this? They said, they're going to go to the banks as a windfall tax. It pretty much reminds me of the UK, when the energy companies had the windfall tax also, because of energy prices. They are taking from the banks as regards that. But okay, taking from the banks, how is this money going to go in reinvestment into the economy? I mean, you are talking about public works, healthcare, and all of that. What are the specificity of these projects, and how are we going to ensure that it's not just going to be another wide relevant project, that nothing comes out of it? Secondly, the part I have a problem with, I know for the sake of health we need to cut sugar, but the tax on sugary drink is going to destroy this country. The beverage sector employs a lot of people. They are dealing with a lot of production costs and increase in electricity tariff that just went up. A very prominent hotel in Lagos, I heard their bill was over 200 million. Some mid-sized hotel owner was talking to me yesterday. He said his bill is over 30 million now in electricity. The beverage companies are dealing with this. You still want to put a sugar tax on top of it. They had muted this idea before. They pushed back. Because the first thing these companies will do is workers will have to go. I think Mr. Wale Edun should think critically about this beverage tax they now want to put in. I know we are dashing, we need to look for money, but that also means we should also cut our coat according to our cloth.
That's about it.
Okay. At the beginning of this administration, we were told specifically that the problem was revenue, not necessarily tax or GDP to debt ratio. And you'll find a coordinating minister of the economy in the person of Wale Edun, trying all he can to fulfill that objective of saying, okay, how do we raise revenue in a way that we don't impose hardship on the ordinary people of Nigeria? And hence, you have all of these measures coming in. In this latest proposal of trying to raise 6.2 trillion naira, bringing the 2024 appropriation budget to 33.7 billion. They have now proposed that 3 trillion naira should be withdrawn from the consolidated revenue. Now, what the government is doing, we have to see it against the background of the recent protests, over the fact that since this administration came into power, they've been asking for more money, more amendments. In fact, I think it was Waziri Adio who wrote a piece, commenting on what was in the public domain, that this administration was implementing 4 budgets simultaneously. One senator brought up the issue and it was suspended, when he said we were operating more than one budget, but later it became a big issue. Where are we with that? How many budgets are we implementing? Because the 2023